Good Thursday evening and welcome to the NCWLIFE Evening News. In for Grant Olson, I'm Eric Granstrom. Before we get to what's making news tonight, let's take a quick look outside our weather window. As you can see, another sunny and hot day here in north central Washington with temperatures reaching into the upper 90s, but not quite the triple digits. But as far as our 7-day forecast is concerned, we could be looking at those triple digits come the first of next week. Yes, 91 for the high on Friday. Enjoy that relatively cool day because it's getting hotter and hotter as we get through the weekend and into next week. Dan Kuntz will have your weather forecast coming up a little bit later on here on the Evening News. And now a few of the stories we're following for you tonight. The man accused of starting the Colockum fire in 2020 has agreed to a plea in a lawsuit that was filed against Confluence Health over mandatory vaccines. Governor Jay Inslee says he'll keep those mandates in place for state workers. But first, our top story tonight. Firefighters were able to gain 80% containment of the Stamen Flats fire overnight Wednesday and stop any of its growth. This morning, all evacuation notices and road restrictions were lifted. The lightning-caused fire was first reported Monday afternoon south of Chelan near the Knaps Hill Tunnel and has burned 1,200 acres of grass and sagebrush. It's the largest wildfire in Washington so far this season. The Department of Natural Resources said this morning that 58 people continue to work the fire. Crews today again were focused on containment lines and securing the edges of that blaze. Well, the man accused of starting a 3,000-acre fire in the Colockum area in 2020 has pleaded guilty to criminal charges in that case, and he received a 30-day jail sentence. 31-year-old Wade Ryan Hawkins currently lives in Moses Lake. In July of 2020, Hawkins was living on Colockum Road and intentionally set a small brush fire to distract sheriff's deputies who were seeking to contact him on a trespassing report. The fire rapidly grew to almost 3,000 acres and forced numerous evacuations. Hawkins pleaded guilty Wednesday to a charge of reckless burning, plus charges in an unrelated case of possessing and trafficking in stolen property. He was already jailed for a month after his initial arrest. Hawkins must now serve a year on community supervision and pay about $1,600 in fines and restitution. In other news tonight, nurses dismissed from Confluence Health for refusing to get their COVID-19 vaccinations will soon find out if their lawsuit can go forward. The 92 former nursing staffers refused to comply with mandates from the state and their employer to be fully vaccinated by October 2021. They sued, alleging the requirement is discriminatory and claiming without evidence that the vaccine poses a threat to their health. Lawyers for both sides sparred today in a virtual courtroom before Douglas County Judge Brian Huber.
We're not arguing that the plaintiffs did not have the right to decline being vaccinated. No one has ever said that. But as the U.S. Supreme Court noted in Jacobson, that right is not absolute, and it does not grant them any particular employment rights. For example, they couldn't bring a gun to work, but they have the right to bear arms. They couldn't smoke pot at work, but they have the right to legally use marijuana in this state. They wouldn't suggest for a moment that they have the right to take care of patients when intoxicated by alcohol, but they have the right to consume alcohol. In fact, there are a host of things that an individual can't do at work that the individual has the right to do on their own time. But that does not mean that their declining the vaccine gives them any claim for wrongful discharge in violation of public policy or modifies the employer's ability to discharge their at-will employment.
Once they reached a point where they had to make their own decision about whether or not or how to deal with how they accommodated these employees who had spent a year and a half working directly with COVID patients. Once they reached the point where they had to decide how they were going to handle the accommodation for those people, they had a choice to make. And that choice, and they knew it, was being made differently by other entities. And they actually told their employees that. Other entities, including healthcare entities in our own region, had decided to approach accommodation of these workers who were not going to get so-called vaccinated by basically applying the standards of which the Department of Health actually did mandate. And they did so, but Confluence didn't want to do that.
Judge Huber must now decide whether the case must go forward to trial or be dismissed. He said he'll issue a written ruling in the near future. Well, Governor Jay Inslee said Wednesday he expects to keep COVID-19 vaccine requirements in place for state workers, even if the overall state pandemic emergency comes to an end. Inslee said the mandate for workers, including state patrol, transportation staff, and healthcare providers, are meant to keep state employees safe and healthy.
As an employer, we do intend to keep our people safe by using the vaccine, even after the state of emergency is lifted. So that would be our intention. I know there will be discussions with the employee unions about that in the next several weeks. We think that makes sense to save people. It's just such a heartbreak when you lose a good state employee. As I've told you many times, the heartbreak I had when I went to a funeral of a correctional officer who didn't get vaccinated and left a 9-year-old daughter, and listening to her talk, I just felt it was the right thing as a manager to keep a safe workplace and keep people safe. So that will be retained after the declaration of emergency leaves, and we have the authority to do that as the employer. We're just an employer like anyone else, and we have the legal right to do that, which, by the way, are legal rights which have been challenged. We've been told we're unconstitutional 1,000 times by certain people on radio, and we've won 42 lawsuits in a row on this, on the actions we have taken. I'm confident that this is within our authority.
Coming up next on the NCWLIFE Evening News, Okanagan County Sheriffs are looking for a woman involved in assault on another woman. The Supreme Court has weighed in on timber harvests on state lands, and also barnwood is on the move in Chelan County. Finally, a UPS driver saves the life of a 7-year-old girl in Soap Lake. That and much more still to come. I'm Eric Granstrom. You're watching the NCWLIFE Evening News.
Raising a family may have seemed overwhelming to your parents, but they weren't. Coach, teacher, life guide, caregiver. Family takes care of family. And as the circle of life continues, you now are their caregiver. It may seem overwhelming, but we're here to help you find the support services necessary so you can provide quality care to your elders.
Call Aging and Adult Care of Central Washington at 1-800-572-4459.
Blue Lagoon Pool and Spa has hot tubs in stock now. Spas are scientifically proven to improve sleep and ease arthritis pain. Let us help you find the perfect spa today. Blue Lagoon Pool and Spa is helping families reconnect, one hot tub at a time.
And welcome back to the NCWLIFE Evening News. In for Grant Olson, I'm Eric Granstrom. Well, the Okanagan County Sheriff's Office is searching for a woman who they say assaulted and robbed another woman just after midnight Wednesday. This happened outside of Omak. The Sheriff's Office said 24-year-old Morningstar St. Peter accused the 33-year-old victim from Okanagan of being a snitch before assaulting her and taking her phone and purse. The victim said she was sitting in a truck at 95 Old Riverside Highway when St. Peter attacked her without provocation. Sheriff's deputies were alerted to the assault after a homeowner in the area reported an injured and bloody woman pounding on their back door. A deputy located the woman nearby. She reportedly told deputies about the assault, saying there were multiple bystanders in the area, none of whom came to her assistance. She was transported to Mid-Valley Hospital to be treated for her injuries. Law enforcement is asking anyone with information on the assault or the whereabouts to St. Peter to contact them at 509-422-7233, option 4. She faces charges of first-degree robbery and second-degree assault in this incident. Well, timber harvest carried out by the Washington Department of Natural Resources survived a constitutional challenge at the state Supreme Court today. The High Court turned down an argument by Conservation Northwest and other nonprofits that timber harvest violates the public trust as defined in Washington's Constitution. DNR controls nearly 3 million acres and conducts commercial timber harvest, which raises more than $120 million a year for schools and other state programs. The Supreme Court decision issued just this morning says DNR timber harvests are required by law and, quote, generating revenue from timber harvest helps boost local economies and maintains state institutions, end quote. Well, the historic barn at Horse Lake Reserve was dismantled this week with the materials destined for another old barn reconstruction project near Monitor. The Chelan Douglas Land Trust said Burt's Barn, which was built in the early 1950s, had become a fire hazard, and people frequently ignored no trespassing signs and risked being harmed by falling timber or a wall. In addition, the Land Trust said power lines above the barn were a fire concern. The barn being reconstructed near Monitor was relocated 3 years ago from the Land Trust's lower Sleepy Hollow Preserve. Well, the driver of a UPS truck is being credited with saving the life of a 7-year-old girl who was pulled from a swimming pool Wednesday afternoon at an RV park north of Soap Lake. Grant County Sheriff's Office said Brian Walters was making a delivery in the area of the Smokium RV Resort about 12:30 in the afternoon when he stopped and performed CPR on the girl who had stopped breathing. Deputy Kyle Foreman said the girl was alert and crying before being transported by helicopter for medical care. How about that? Well, you're watching the NCWLIFE Evening News. Coming up next, tonight's feature story and your complete local weather forecast. That and much more is still to come here on the NCWLIFE Evening News. Stay with us.
The best pizza in the known universe is right here in downtown Chelan, so come on up. For the best locally crafted beer and barbecue in Chelan, come on up.
For the best down-home scratch country cooking in north central Washington, you'll find it in Manson. Come on up.
Come on up. Come on up.
Come on up.
At D.A. Davidson in Wenatchee, they believe your investment success begins with a personalized plan. A plan that is the roadmap you need to navigate your way to living your best years in retirement. D.A. Davidson can help you create a plan so you can take the time to enjoy the finer things in life. Let the financial advisors at D.A. Davidson help chart your retirement future today. Thanks for watching the NCWLIFE Evening News. It's time now for our weekly Pause for Pets feature from the Wenatchee Valley Humane Society. Tonight we meet a dog named Myra.
Hello, my name's Jenny. I am the Animal Behavior Coordinator here at the Wenatchee Humane Society. Today I have with me Myra. This little gal is possibly the sweetest, most gentle gal we have here. She's an adult dog, smaller size, kind of husky-ish mix, but she's really small-ish. She's sweet, she's gentle. She does go to playgroup with our Gentle and Dainties. She plays in a really kind of timid style, and she's a little unsure, so she would be fine probably in a home with a gentle dog. Overall, with people, she has been fabulous. Any people she meets, she's a little bit shy at first, but as soon as you are gentle and sweet with her, she warms right up and is affectionate. She loves walking. She loves just time outside. Overall, this is just one of the easiest dogs we have here. Yeah, and we really hope she finds her home soon.
The Wenatchee Valley Humane Society is located at 1474 South Wenatchee Avenue and is open 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. and closed 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. for quiet hour. Give them a call at 509-662-9577 or visit their website at wenatcheehumane.org.
Olson's taking a couple of days off, as you know by now. Let's take a look at our weather window. High atop McNeil Canyon is the photo we're using today. Of course, McNeil Canyon named after the great Waterville pioneer, Jerry Canyon. High today, 97. Boy, it was a hot one. And look at the overnight low, only 70. Our overnight lows will be in the mid-70s next week. Get ready for the cooker, folks. It's coming. Our normal high is 89. We're going to be well above 89 for the foreseeable future. Our record high, 105. That's the record high for today. We're going to be pushing 105 by the middle of next week. I kid you not. No rain, of course. Haven't had any rain at all for quite some time, so that 5.76 remains where it has been for about a month now. Sunrise, about a minute later. Sunset, about a minute later as well. Days are getting shorter. Let's take a look at the highs for Friday. Friday is going to be the only cool down that's coming up before the heat comes. We talk about that. A marine layer is going to come in. So you'll see a few more clouds tomorrow. 92 in the basin. Ephrata will be at 91. Quincy, you'll check in at 90. Ellensburg only 84. You're going to have a lot of wind down there in Ellensburg. No surprise there. Here in the big city, 91. Right around that 90-degree mark. Lake Wenatchee, always a few degrees cooler. Omak, you'll be cooking pretty good at 82 degrees on Friday. So what's going on? Well, not a lot right now. Things are going to change a little bit. There's a high pressure ridge way up over the top of it's basically in the Gulf of Alaska, and that's going to slowly seep down. But before that happens, some cool marine air from the northwest Oregon coast is going to kind of seep in. That's what's going to cool us down by a few degrees on Friday. It's also going to pick up that wind a little bit. Now, normally strong winds, hot temperatures, and low relative humidity normally will trigger a red flag warning, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen because the winds aren't going to be quite strong enough for the National Weather Service to issue a red flag warning. But we're certainly going to be very dry, very warm, and a little breezy tonight, Friday, and right on into Friday night. Those gradients are going to tighten down, and then here comes this big ridge, a high pressure. It's going to slowly sink down from the Gulf of Alaska, and it's going to park right over the top of north central Washington and all the Pacific Northwest for that matter. And we are going to start getting scorching. Really gets going for the most part on Sunday. It'll be well entrenched by Sunday, that high pressure ridge I'm talking about. By Monday and Tuesday, and especially Wednesday and Thursday, it's just going to be downright hot. We're going to see overnight lows in the mid-70s, and right now, the long-term forecast from the Climate Prediction Center says this dome of heat, which is going to keep any kind of system away from our area, is going to be well entrenched and real big, and we're in for a long period of sunny and hot weather. It's late July, bumping into August. It's what we can expect. Of course, we're keeping a very close eye on the winds. That's the big thing. Winds, low relative humidity, a bad mix. All right, let's take a look at it in detail. 97 today, 64 for the overnight low tonight. Again, as I mentioned before, a bit of a cool down on Friday. It's also going to be a little windy. You'll see a few more high clouds ushered in from this low pressure system, but it's going to come in, it's going to come out. And then here we go. We'll start warming up on Saturday. By Sunday, I think we can safely call it hot, and we're going to be pushing at record high temperatures Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, triple digits across the board for everybody, and those overnight lows in the mid-70s. I hope your air conditioning works, folks. You're going to need it. That's your weather forecast. Still to come, sports with Eric Granstrom and more. You're watching a Thursday edition of the NCWLIFE Evening News.
Traditional values and innovation in honoring the life of each family we serve is part of the ministry of Heritage Memorial Chapel. Our staff is committed to walk with your family with compassion through this time of grief. We are here to help and here to serve, the right kind of help when you need it most. Heritage Memorial Chapel.
Let Mary Maid's custom cleaning experts help you clean up your to-do list. Between work, kids, and pets, it's hard to find time to keep up. Let Mary Maids of Wenatchee help. Mary Maid's cleaning experts can help keep your home or business fresh, neat, and exactly how you'd clean it if you only had the time. Call now for a free estimate. 509-663-1710. Serving Chelan and Douglas counties. Mary Maids, let us help.
It has really been a great partnership between Succession and NCWLIFE. It's not always easy to sit in front of a camera or a microphone, but you guys have made it a really nice process.
It's a little scary at first, right? You're just throwing money out there hoping it comes back. And to see those results come back through and see people walk through the door and say, hey, saw your TV advertisement. Those are the kinds of things that you see the return on. And when you look at the cost spent, you know you're making a return on it. NCWLIFE really does a great job of exposing our brand and Succession wines to North Central Washington. There's a huge market here and market potential that NCWLIFE is able to help us capture, spread who we are, and tell the world about what Succession does, and they are a great avenue for that.
And now it's a sports update on the NCWLIFE channel.
And a happy Thursday to you. The Apple Sox gained a little ground on a playoff spot with a 7-2 win over Kamloops last night at Paul Thomas Senior Stadium. Wenatchee's now a game and a half in the lead of the second half standings for the North Division of the West Coast League after last night's win. Joel Norman says the Sox didn't waste any time to get the lead.
The Wenatchee Apple Sox won their 7th series of the summer with a 7-2 victory over the Kamloops Northpaws on Wednesday night at Paul Thomas Senior Stadium. The Apple Sox scored 5 runs in the bottom of the first inning to mark the 3rd time in these 2 games against the Northpaws in which they scored at least 5 runs in an inning against their North Division foes. And Jack Moffitt stymied the opposition with 5 scoreless innings. He only allowed 2 hits and struck out 6 to pick up his 2nd victory of the summer. Wenatchee will look to take all 3 games against the Northpaws as they face them on Thursday night at 6:35 p.m. It's a throwback Thursday as general admission tickets are available for just $2, and the Apple Sox will also be wearing jerseys that are unique. They have been designed in collaboration with the Colville tribes and pay respect to the Native American history of North Central Washington. Tickets can be purchased at saferseating.com. With your Apple Sox update, I'm Joel Norman.
Thank you much, Joel. Iva Arquette was 2 for 4 in the game last night with a run and a couple of RBI. C.J. Horn also contributed 2 hits in the win. Wenatchee goes for the sweep tonight, coming up at 6:35. Other West Coast League action last night. Walla Walla scored 4 runs in the first and made it stick against Springfield in a 4-3 victory. Brady Lavoie and Ethan Lovelace each hit homers for Corvallis as the Knights beat Cowlitz 13-3. Victoria scored 2 in the 9th to tie it, and Grady Morgan's walk-off RBI single in the 10th won it as the Harbor Cats edged Bellingham 9-8. Ridgefield, they had a furious comeback attempt, fall just short in Bend as the Raptors scored 5 runs over the final 2 frames, but the Elks came out on top 10-9. Twos were wild for Yakima Valley in a 12-4 win over Nanaimo. The Pippins scored 2 runs in each of the first, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 8th, and 9th innings of that game. Edmonton broke a tie with 2 runs in the 7th, went on to beat Kelowna last night 7-3. Nog League play, Redmond once again better than Port Angeles, 3-1 the final there. And in Portland, Pickles Latrey McCullum hit for the cycle and drove in 9 runs. That's right, that's not a misprint. 31-3 the final, the Pickles all over Willamette. We'll take a look at the updated standings of the West Coast League's North Division for the second half. Wenatchee leads Kelowna and Victoria by a game and a half. Edmonton is 2 games back, while Bellingham is 2.5 out. Well, the Vintage Hydros are back this weekend. Well, the Oberto won't be there, but boats like that one will be on the water in Anniette this weekend for the Anniette Vintage Race Boat Regatta. Name synonymous with hydroplanes racing is Mark Evans. He says he and his brother Mitch still keep their feet wet and in the mix when it comes to vintage boats and what we'll see this weekend in Anniette.
fun to be involved with boat racing. My brother and I used to run the turbine boats, and Jimmy helped crew on a lot of them and painted a bunch of them. But as time went on, the vintage boats have become very popular, and they're just fun to work on and go run and build on and play with. So we're excited about being down here in Anniette and putting on a vintage event.
Jim Labrie describes some of the boats fans can watch this Saturday and Sunday on Lake Anniette.
The boat I run is basically a 21 foot, it's called a conventional boat where you sit behind the motor. I run a 427 with an 871 blower on it, makes noise, and she goes pretty good. And back in the day when it ran, it set a kilo record at 171, and then tried to do a return run, another kilo record, and was up over 200 and flipped and crashed the boat. But we have all different size boats. We're also going to have T-boats here doing an exhibition. Those are 13, 14-year-old kids, the future of the sport that'll be coming up. And like just a few years ago, me and Mark were 13, 14.
Yeah, just a couple of years ago.
Doing some boat racing ourselves.
Racing will start around 10 o'clock each day on Saturday and Sunday, go till about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Racecourse will be set up in the middle of the Columbia River, just off of Anniette Park. Hey, a quick note here. Drivers can expect some delays this weekend as the state performs inspections on the Senator George Seller Bridge. Washington State Department of Transportation says they'll be using an under-bridge inspection truck on Saturday, working on the westbound side, then the eastbound side in the afternoon. On Sunday, sidewalk inspections are expected to cause morning delays. That's a look at our newscast tonight. Now let's check in with Dan Coons for a look at what's coming up tomorrow on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Dan?
Thanks, Eric. On a Friday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, it took a lot of legwork, a lot of phone calls and emails, but it's been arranged. I will be interviewing Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Ringo Starr on tomorrow's Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Also, I'm being told in my earpiece, what's it? Ringo Starr will not be on tomorrow's edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Just got word in my earpiece. Tune in tomorrow. We'll have stuff for you, I hope. Eric, back to you.
Darn. I was looking forward to Ringo. Hey, just also another note, Mariners start a big series and the second half of the season tomorrow night at T-Mobile Park against the hated Houston Astros. 7:10 first pitch. Mariners going for a record-tying 15th win in a row. That's going to be our news for tonight. If you want more on these stories and other news from around North Central Washington, you can find us on Facebook or our website at ncwlife.com. And remember, if you see news happening, we'd like to hear from you. You can send us an email at news@ncwlife.com or call us at 888-NCWL. That's 888-6295. I'm Eric Grandstrom. Thanks for joining us and have a great night. The 1-2 pitch swung on and hit the air. That's a base hit. Going to score one at least. Wenatchee Apple Sox baseball is on the NCWLIFE channel. Join us for live play-by-play coverage as the Apple Sox take on the Cowlitz Black Bears Tuesday, July 26th. Pre-game at 6:30, first pitch at 6:35. It's the Black Bears and Apple Sox as we celebrate summer one inning at a time, live on your local TV station, the NCWLIFE channel.
McPhillips. Hi, I'm Kerry Condata, host of the 12th District TV show right here on the NCWLIFE channel. We're available 5 times a week on air and also at ncwlife.com streaming. You can even find our archives for older shows. We cover business and politics like nobody else. From an insider's perspective, someone that's been self-employed for 30 years and in the legislature for 16 years. You'll get it all right here every week on the 12th District. Won't you join us?
With TV advertising, what we want to do is more deeply connect with the community.
People spot me in different parts around North Central, Costco and Wenatchee, say, hey, you're the pizza guy. And so they wouldn't know that if it weren't for the TV commercials we've done.
We've been here so long that people already know who we are and what we do, but to have that image flash on their television screen as opposed to just hearing it in the radio or seeing it in the newspaper, I just love the fact that we can actually put our finger on when a customer comes in and says, I saw your ad.
It's becoming increasingly difficult in this digital age to know where are your customers listening or watching, because I watch all the different channels that they watch too, like Cooking Channel, History Channel, and so it was wonderful to be able to be on there.
I would say that if you want to do business in Wenatchee, then you should connect with the people of Wenatchee, and there's no better way to do that than with NCWLIFE.